Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Daily Blend. I am your host, AC, and we are joined in studio today by David Nivens, CEO of the Como Companies. How are you, David?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Good to have you. David, let's talk about 20 under 40.
Yes.
Coming up.
It is coming up.
But first, you got to get some people.
We do.
All right.
And we're in the process of that.
Okay, I was going to say, tell me how the process works.
So we opened up nominations for 20 under 40 on March 1st.
Okay.
And it will run through March 31st.
Okay.
So the nomination forms can be found on our website, comobusinesstimes.com. We're sharing that on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So click on that. The process this year is a little different than years past. We have a great platform on the back end that makes it a lot easier and more streamlined. And so the submission process should be super easy. It even gives you the option of starting it, pausing, coming back, finishing it later, and we'll even send you reminders that you haven't gone through the whole nomination process
Ooh,
yet. So
that's good. I like reminders. Sometimes I need them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need them. Who's a good person? You know what I mean? What do you look for in somebody? Who's a good person to nominate?
So our criteria, what we're really looking for this year, we want the best and the brightest. We want people that are doing amazing things. Some of them may be well known. Some of them are maybe very much under the radar. And there are the one thing, I've only been involved with this company for a couple of years. But the one thing that really drew me into what we do is there's so many amazing things and people in this community, and there are sometimes those stories aren't told.
Yeah.
And so just shining a light on that and exposing those things to the greater community. And it could range from anyone who is a entrepreneurial startup coming up with the most amazing product or service that we've never thought of before, to someone who's worked in the nonprofit or the civic sector that is kind of under the radar, but they're doing equally amazing things, just in a different vein. So we're really and ones that have initiative that are doing beyond what they're doing in their project. A lot of times these recipients are doing multiple other things in the community. They're involved in civic organizations. They do nonprofit work. Whatever that might look like.
Yeah.
And they're pretty spectacular people, really.
Yeah, that's what I always say. When you sit and look through, like if you look through previous 20 under 40 issues, and just look at the people and read the articles and write-ups about them, you'll find that they are people that are multifaceted in some way.
Absolutely.
Right? They're doing maybe just one thing that they're kind of known for, or maybe the person who nominated them thinks they're really great at this one thing, but there's normally some other things they're doing as well. Right? They're serving in some way. They're giving back to the community in other ways. So think about that person that you see maybe at work or at church or, in some civic organization, and that person stands out to you and you're like, that person deserves
absolutely
this recognition. That's the person that you nominate.
Those are the people that we want to be made aware of.
Right. It's not necessarily the person that's always getting the shine or that you always see, up on the stage or getting the award. It's not necessarily that person. I mean, that person's great too, but it's not always that.
Absolutely. And there's so many, because of the university, because of all these great medical facilities we have, I know there are some really outstanding, spectacular people that just kind of work behind the scenes that just don't have that recognition and notoriety like we feel like they deserve to have.
There has to be.
Absolutely.
Because who else is making all these things go? Right. There's some battery packs somewhere behind the scenes all over this community.
Yeah.
And so we having the help to say, shine a light back here.
Yep.
That's what. And so you said we can go online.
Yep.
And you've got a form that's easy for us to fill out?
It is. It's super easy.
I like easy.
You just have to register, and then the process is really simple.
Okay, and so what happens on the back end? Tell us a little bit about process this year?
So we've changed a few things up with it.
Okay.
For the most part, there will be some components that will stay the same. So once we get all of the nominations in, we'll kind of go through those. There will be some individuals that will have multiple nominations. We'll kind of combine those together, make it easier for our judging process. And then we'll kind of we'll go through and we'll kind of start to narrow it down to a manageable group. And so from that point, what we do, we'll have kind of three components to it. We have our advisory board, which consists of community leaders, and we have two different advisory boards. We have one for Como Magazine and one for Como Business Times. And they have a little bit different focus, and they come from kind of different areas and backgrounds, but we'll rely on both of those advisory boards to review those nominations, help us narrow it down to 40.
Okay.
So once we have that cut of 40, we will go through the process again, and our staff will look at it. Our advisory board will look at it, and then we're adding a third component of an ad hoc committee. So these are people that we have been engaged in the community for a long time. They might be, several of them are, recently retired executives or professionals that know the community. They know what it looks like to be a 20 under 40, but they don't necessarily have a horse in the race anymore.
Sure.
They may not have someone in their organization that is, going through that process, but they're highly quality individuals that will look at this through a lens of unbiased, and they will really help us to make a determination and narrow it down to that 20 group. So we'll have, and it's going to be a weighted, we'll do this in a way that they'll have a weight, our staff will have a weight, and then
that committee
will have a weight, so that, and then we'll combine all those scores of those, and then that will help us to determine. That will be how we determine the 20
folks.
Yep.
All right. Well, we look forward to that 20 under 40.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me.